congratulations on the show, because you are the first female lead of the Paraverse of the series. And I want to ask you, first of all, how did you feel about getting to be the first woman to lead a show like this?
Yeah, thank you. It's lovely to meet you. I think I would be lying if I said there wasn't a bit of fear and nerves and pressure attached to getting that role. Because not only am I taking up the mantle of these incredible maverick detectives, I'm also joining this kind of TV legacy of incredibly established and beloved British actors. So obviously there's nerves that come with that, but there was also a great amount of pride, and I was pleased as punch to get the role. There's this kind of blissful 24 hours when your agent calls and says they're offering you the job, and you go around feeling, you know, on cloud nine for a while, and then about 24 hours later you go, oh my giddy aunt, I have to actually do the thing. But the size and the success of the franchise and those other detectives, they can't really live in my head, certainly between action and cut, because they don't live in Mackenzie's head. She's not aware of being a female detective in, you know, it's just her life. And I think having a female in the central detective role doesn't actually change the DNA or the spirit of the show at all, really. I think setting it in Australia or setting it in a location that someone's returning to rather than new in changes the show more than having a female in the central role. But that being said, I'm still incredibly pleased to be playing her.
Obviously, the show has a lot of female stars anyway, like you said. Like there's, I thought there's Chantal Jackson's character and Zara Mahdi's character in Beyond Paradise, and they are obviously wonderful characters in their own right, even if they're not the lead detective. So when you were taking on your role, did you ever think to look back at their performances and what they were doing with their characters?
That's really interesting, because I did go back and watch, not all of it, but I watched quite a bit of it in research. But it wasn't to look at any individual's performance, not even the detective's performance. It was to understand the tone of the show, because it's a very unique thing, the show. And so I was watching the original, not so much to emulate or replicate anyone, male or female, but to understand what I could do, mainly with the comedy of the show, because it's not parody and it's not farce, but it flirts with the edges of comedy in a really beautiful way, and it definitely knows what show it is, and it understands the genre that it's playing with very well. There's a wink and a cheek and a charm in that. So I watched it to understand where I could push the style and the comedy, and understand that there's an inherent theatricality, certainly in those, when the killer is revealed in the denouements, there's a theatricality that I had to understand, so I had to watch the original. Yeah, you're right, and I haven't articulated that yet. The strong women, they've been there for ages. Yeah,
and then you're just joining. You're joining.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, and in future interviews, I'm going to steal that. You know, because that's fantastic. Because there's already great strong women in the Paraverse. Yeah, fantastic.
You can take that.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'll quote you.
Yeah, thank you. And obviously, like, we've got to talk about Mackenzie Clarke. I found her such a fascinating character from the episode that I watched, because she's quite interesting and kind of awkward, but she's so brilliant at what she does, and you can see that, especially in the denouement that you mentioned there, you can really see how her brain works. And I wondered, what was it that interested you about the character? What did you kind of want to bring to that character, and how did you want to create her?
Yeah, I love her. I really do. I'm really, really fond of her, and I was fond of her from the first moment I read what Peter Matesi had created in her. I hesitate to say I like playing complicated women, because I think we use that expression when we just mean real women, but we go, oh, you're three-dimensional, you must be complicated, but we just mean real. She's been described as prickly, and I really like that description, actually. It wasn't my own, someone said it to me, and I like it because it, for me, like the prickles on a hedgehog or a porcupine or something, they're a defence mechanism. So I quickly kind of understood her, that she doesn't believe that she belongs, and so she continually looks for evidence that she doesn't belong, and if we look for evidence that we don't fit in, we will always find it. So her prickliness is not because she's cruel or because she's nasty. It's because she doesn't believe people want her. So there's a defence mechanism already up. And she becomes quite blind or blinkered to anyone who might have their arms open and out to her, you know. She, I think, mistakenly doesn't think she needs other people or community or romance or all the things we as humans absolutely need. I think she thinks that she's better off without them, so she pushes them all away. And I think since she's been very young, what she's good at is solving puzzles and solving equations and, you know, mathematical problems, things that have a clear answer. And human emotion, human relationships, and certainly the human heart, there's no equation to those things. So they frighten her. I think it's as simple as that. She can't answer that question. She can't answer her own emotional inner life. So she puts a distance between herself and that, and pours herself into things that she can answer and have a result, like her job. And I love her. I think she's a marvellous creation of Peter Matesi. I really do. I think she's wonderful to inhabit and wonderful to be in a brain that thinks that quickly and gets hung up on details that seem meaningless to everyone else. She's great fun to play, and she has no worry about being liked. So it's a great relief to play, because I don't think many of us exist moving through the world not caring what people think. So I enjoy inhabiting her greatly.
Obviously, we've got to talk about Glenn, because
Glenn.
we know that that she left him at the altar 6 years earlier before she came back to Dolphin Cove now. I wondered, what did you like about that relationship? Also, what was it like working with Tai Hara? Because I love the chemistry that you two have already from that initial look of them back together. Yeah.
That's a major part of the show, and a major, I think, difference from the original, that she's returning to... She's a fish out of water, but in a town that she knows and a town that knows her. That's a major departure from the Death in Paradise series. It's a huge thing to leave someone at the altar. It's so dramatic. Like, you know, calm down, Mackenzie. I think she brings back with her quite a bit of guilt. And I think when we hurt someone, or when we break someone's heart, it's quite hard to look at, because we don't like to think we've hurt someone. So I think she just ran away instead of confronting it. And now she has to. And I think there's a bit of pain involved, and certainly guilt. And whether their story, their love story, is finished or not is the big question of season 1. If there's unfinished business there, what is it? Is it, you know, closure, or is there still a spark? Working with Tai, who plays Glenn, is one of the best experiences of my career. He is a joy, and one of my... I'm going to get emotional talking about Tai, how embarrassing. He's one of my dearest friends, and his energy on set buoyed everyone. He's a true delight and a true kind man. And I'm on set quite a lot, and I have quite a big workload with this show. And I think without him and other people, I would have found it a lot more stressful. He made it happy and fun and supported me in such a beautiful way. And we really love those scenes that we get to do together, because you get to investigate the more emotional sides of the show, because a lot of it's murder and plot and fact, and I've got to remember all these kind of crime facts, and it can be quite, you know, intense in a different way, but we get to do the heart side of things together and soften her. And I think the audience gets to love her through his eyes, you know, because he sees the good in her. The audience learn that she's not just what she is on the exterior, certainly in episode 1. So Glenn's character is very important to teach the audience how to think about Mackenzie.
And I wanted to ask, obviously, everyone knows and loves Death in Paradise. Everyone has come to love Beyond Paradise as well. And I wonder, what can fans of, like, established fans of the show, like, take away from Return to Paradise? What's different about Return to Paradise that they will enjoy?
It's not a carbon copy. It's got the same spirit, and the same format, but it's quite different as well. And I think it needs to be, because it's set in a different place. And again, she's a fish out of water in a place that knows her and she knows it. So there's no culture clash as there is in the Death in Paradise. It's maybe a bit more similar to Beyond Paradise in that sense. But the show doesn't take itself too seriously. I hear Chris Marshall say this, and he's absolutely right. The joy and the charm of the show is that it doesn't take itself too seriously, while being incredibly clever. It can be silly and smart at the same time, and there's thousands of small decisions that go into making a show look so easy and look so delightful and charming. It's a lot of hard work, and we've got that in our show, like with the original. Like, it's incredibly pleasant to watch. It's television that maybe harks back to a more innocent time of television where it was entertaining, not traumatizing at all, and that your whole family can sit down and watch it and enjoy it and feel safe while watching a show about murder, and laugh and get these quirky characters and a really clever puzzle solved within an hour. It's a really quite remarkable feat of a show, and ours has the same thing. And then you throw in a kind of romantic comedy to ours as well. I think fans will love it. I really trust that they'll come to love Mackenzie. I just think it's an incredibly fabulous hour of television. I think it's really enjoyable TV.